Hi, I'm Ross Barry and welcome to Friday 5 at 5. As week 3 of the shutdown draws to a close, 2 new measures have been announced by the government to support families and businesses. Yesterday, Prime Minister Scott Morrison announced that childcare will be free for those who need it in a bid to keep over 13,000 childcare centres open. Australia's childcare centre will receive a boost of $1.6 billion over the next 3 months, commencing April 6, and over 1 million families are expected to benefit from the temporary relief. And many of the thousands of small businesses across New South Wales suffering from the shutdown will receive grants of up to $10,000 under a new scheme announced today by State Treasurer Dominic Perrottet. The state will add $750 million to the Small Business Support Fund that was set up originally to help businesses affected by the bushfires. Mr Perrottet said the grants will be available to tens of thousands of businesses who are too small to get the payroll tax relief announced 2 weeks ago, including many local cafes, restaurants, gyms and small accommodation providers. To be eligible, businesses will need to have between 1 to 19 employees, turnover of more than $75,000 and a total payroll below the threshold of $900,000 a year. And they must use the funding for unavoidable business costs. New South Wales health authorities confirmed 91 new coronavirus cases in the past 24 hours, bringing the state's total to 2,389. It's the first time since March 22 the number of new infections has been less than 100. On the Central Coast, local district health have advised that the total number of COVID-19 cases has now risen to 112, an increase of just 10 cases in the past 48 hours. And that's down from an increase of 32 in the same period last week. There are still no coronavirus-related deaths on the coast, and there's now been 6 hospital admissions. Over 4,400 people have now been tested here, which implies a positive test rate of 2.4%. Now, one thing that many of the coast have called for here is more granular data on the incidence of COVID-19. Let's hear from David Abrahams.
Thanks, Ross. Yes, earlier this week we spoke with a locally based data analyst, Patrick Spedding, who's been calling on the authorities to release more localised COVID-19 case data to help inform the public.
So you're really only talking like 3 data points. It doesn't have to be at the person level. So I don't really feel that excuses from, say, New South Wales Health around the privacy data concerns are actually valid in that context. I think that we can protect privacy at the same time as informing the public and helping to sort of, in some ways, perhaps reduce some of the panic that we see, particularly in this region.
Your appeal and your colleagues' appeal has always been that data calms people down rather than the other way around. Talk us through that.
You know, I think people start extrapolating from the limited information that they're given. You know, the fears start growing. You know, maybe that they're terrified that they're in a community that's that the cases are exploding or so on. And I think that just having accurate information just helps to inform. I mean, there's a saying in business: if you don't measure it, you can't manage it. And I think that people, you know, that's true in business, and it's also true in the community, that if you have the information, you can manage yourself more effectively. And, you know, people like to be informed and know that they're being given the truth, you know, that's not media spin, for example, that's...
Well, some progress has been made here, as yesterday the state government data agency did start releasing postcode level case data. As a result, Patrick created this chart that showed the daily occurrences of the virus based on postcode here on the coast. See our website to access the full chart. And as we reported on Monday, the New South Wales government has postponed local government elections, which were due to be held in September, for 12 months. We previously heard from Mayor Lisa Matthews, who supported the announcement, and today we spoke with Independent Councillor for the Entrance, Bruce McLaughlin.
I was actually looking forward to the election, but I would prefer to have it pushed out than what they did in Queensland the other day and held the council elections. I thought that was rather silly under the circumstances to bring people out to the polls. So if you had a choice between the Queensland situation the other day and pushing it out 12 months, I think we've made the right decision. I think they're adapting as best they can. They've actually passed legislation to do virtual meetings, which is a big step forward. So that'll stop bringing all the staff together for the council meetings, stop bringing the council together. We'll be able to do meetings similar as we're doing right now. and move forward on that basis. And that's quite a technical change to what the legislation they do. That had to be a change of legislation to allow that. So they're doing what they can.
And each week we like to find a story of businesses adapting to the current shutdown situation. This week we caught up with local cheesemaker Russell from Little Creek Cheese in Wyong for a report.
Well, pretty much like everybody else, we've certainly noticed a significant downturn. By my estimations, we're down to around about 10% of our usual figures. So, yeah, very, very difficult. Yep, essentially we're bringing the mountain to Muhammad. But we've had no choice. We've got to start doing deliveries. We're doing deliveries over $50 to anywhere on the Central Coast for free.
And where are you located, Russell?
We're in the old milk factory in Wyong, which is Allison Road.
Well, we reported on Monday that New South Wales had enacted new powers to hold Australians returning from overseas in mandatory quarantine in city hotels. Killarney Vale couple Margaret and Darren Waters returned to Melbourne this week from a holiday in Sri Lanka, where they were ushered into a bus and taken under police escort to the Crown Plaza Hotel. I spoke with Margaret earlier today.
We got off the plane and we noticed that there was a large contingency of not just police but security. Everyone was masked. There was a few people who were gowned up. We were probably one of about 3 or 4 people who were walking through the airport without any masks on because we didn't expect anything quite so overwhelming. Escorted onto a bus. As we were coming out of the airport, which seemed to go the long way around, we noticed there was police escort in front of us and police escort behind us. We then made our way to the Crown Plaza Hotel, which is to be our home for the next 2 weeks. The hotel itself is a 4-star hotel. The room is small, but it's well contained. We have a beautiful view overlooking the Yarra, which is lovely when you see people walking past, but you know you can't walk past yourself. Our window doesn't open, so we can't open and looking for fresh air or anything. We are not allowed to leave our room. The room is very small, so there's no way that you could really do much in the way of exercising. We get 3 meals a day delivered to our room in the form of in brown paper bags. The meals so far, we've had no meat. Breakfast usually consists of either some fruit, Cocoa Pops, lots of water. We've been provided with lots and lots of water and lots of fresh fruit. And being put in mandatory quarantine for 2 weeks, what impact does that have on your life and your broader livelihood? It's extremely frustrating. It's frustrating because knowing that you cannot leave the room, you cannot walk up and down the hallway, you can't go downstairs for a breath of fresh air, you're just stuck in this room. It's kind of like a 4-star prison, really.
Finally, a couple of sports updates. Central Coast Rugby Union have advised us today that the postponement of the 2020 season will now be extended to at least June 1. The union is still working on holding a reduced competition in the second half of this year. And the beleaguered Central Coast Mariners on Tuesday became the second A-League club to stand down its players without pay indefinitely as the COVID-19 shutdown continues to erode the club's finances. The Professional Footballers Association has reportedly sent a letter to the Mariners management demanding that their players be reinstated immediately. PFA Chief Executive John Didaluca said he was disappointed to see the clubs acting unilaterally to effectively impose a 100% pay cut without any consultation with players or stakeholders. But despite the PFA's protestations, on Wednesday more clubs followed suit. Western Sydney, Adelaide United and Brisbane were also reported to have stood down their players and coaching staff, while Western United and Newcastle are said to be on the verge of doing the same thing. Well, that's all for today. Remember, if you have some time on your hands, you can watch all of our past video interviews on YouTube. Details are on our website, or you might also want to check out the toilet roll singer, Sally Loughnan of Lisarow, who's posted a series of songs performed in Coles supermarket aisles and adapted for the times.
Went down the local Coles, no dunny roll in sight. Beck arrived here early, she got into a fight. Am I ever gonna see bog roll again?